What's good, YouTube? It's Arapic, and in this video, I'm going to be getting Dragon Ball to Outerversal.
Why the hell are we still scaling this mid-ass verse to Outerversal? I thought we left that bullshit wank in 2023. We are a few weeks from 2026, and we still out here having people wanking Dragon Ball.
So P1 Outerversal is defined as something that is unlimited bidimensional predicates, and this was already agreed upon. We already set this definition for the video. And P2, anything that lacks spatial temporal properties is not a member of dimensionality.
So is P2 is essentially claiming that lacking space and time would make you not a part of dimensionality? This is just objectively false, because you can lack conventional space and time, but that doesn't automatically make you beyond dimensionality.
Unless you think lacking dimensionality is the equivalent to transcending it, then go ahead. And I actually talked about this later in the vid, but I never ever proposed that lacking space-time within this argument makes you transcendent to dimensionality. I'm saying this means you are unlimited by it.
For example, higher dimensional realms obviously lack conventional space-time. They're above conventional space-time, but they're just higher dimensional. Nothing proves that they're beyond the concept of all dimensionality. They're still bounded within this confine, within this quality. So no, I don't see where premise 2 would be capable of getting something like that to Outerversal. I don't know where the argument for that even comes from. You haven't provided any substantiation for that claim in your video, so therefore this...
My nigga, are you trolling? Literally right after this, I explain why this is true by definition. Since spatial temporal properties are an entailment of dimensionality and are ontologically committing, you would only be able to lack them while simultaneously lacking dimensionality.
Provided any substantiation for that claim in your video, so therefore this would just be dismissed via Hitchens razor.
And P2 is just analytical, and to explain why it's analytical is because if something does not belong to the set of dimensional things, aka things that are characterized by measurable dimensions such as size, length, and time, etc., then dimensional predicates like calling something long or fast in states of affairs to our reality cannot limit or apply to it. Being limited by dimensional predicates just means something's properties can be described in terms of dimensions like space and time. Not being a member of dimensionality means that it does not have those dimensional attributes in the first place.
P2 is not claiming that. P2 is just claiming that if a realm lacks space and time, then it would automatically be Outerversal. For one, that is not analytical truth, because something...
It is because the definition of Outerversal that was postulated within that argument explicitly was to be unlimited by dimensional predicates. And then I explained why it's analytically the case that these dimensional predicates aren't limiting something that lacks spacetime, as there would be no predicate to express a spatial temporal property with.
That is not analytical truth, because something analytically true is something true by definition.
Yes, exactly, nigga. Being analytical means for a proposition to be true by virtue of the definition, so it's true by definition. And if it's the case that a predicate is an expression of a property by definition, then I'm making it limited to a dimensional predicate, so these predicates express something that's dimensional. If it's the case that something is not a member of dimensionality, then we cannot apply spatial, temporal, or dimensional predicate to this thing that lacks dimensionality.
Your definition of Outerversal is something beyond all dimensional limitation.
This would only be the case if you want to take something being unlimited by another thing as that thing being beyond it. And I actually go into this later on in the video, but within this specific argument, no, it's not to be exceeding or transcendent to dimensionality within qualitative states of affairs. It's to be unlimited by them via lacking them.
Time is not a dimension. I don't know where the hell you people get this from. A dimension is described as a measurement of length, width, depth, height, etc. and stuff like that. Time, however, is just a progression of events within a space. So time isn't something that is dimensional.
A dimension is just an independent coordinate needed to specify an event or point. A point in space needs 3 of these dimensions: length, width, and height. An event or outcome that occurs needs 4 numbers, which is all of those 3 dimensions and when this event occurs. The 4th coordinate is time, and the reason it would be the 4th dimension is because it is interconnected with space, and I actually gave the argument for this later on within the video. Also, you do actually realize how many problems would rise if time was in a dimension. For example, motion wouldn't be able to be defined, as velocity would be the change in positioning over time.
So P2 already wouldn't follow with what the definition of Outerversal entails to, which you already agreed earlier is beyond all dimensional limitation.
Already just said that this is contingent on how you take something being transcendent to another thing. And within the states of affairs to this argument, it doesn't have to be the case that being unlimited to something entails qualitative transcendence.
I'm gonna look at whatever the hell the rest of his premises say and just debunk them anyway, because why not? I need content.
So the second clause, which is unlimited bidimensional predicates, is entailed by the first clause, which is not a member of dimensionality.
Again, just because you're not a member of dimensionality doesn't automatically mean that you're not Outerversal.
within this argument's proposition for what outerversal is. Yes, it does mean that lacking dimensionality inherently leads to being outerversal.
Outerversal. Time in itself is not dimensional. It is not a member of dimensionality. It is.
Considering I already gave the argument for why it is the case that time is a dimension and that it is a member of dimensionality, then this is completely trivial.
According to Eraptic, just because you're not a member of something, that means you're automatically beyond this said thing. So if I'm not a member of a team, right, let's say we're like in basketball, right, and I'm not a member of this elite team who's clearly better than me at basketball, does that mean that I'm all of a sudden better than them because I'm not a member of that said team?
There is a contextual deviation between being a member of a team and being a member of a predicate that expresses a property. I never said that universally. I never said that within all cases, if something isn't a member of another thing, that's above or it's unbound to that said thing. I'm limiting the context to a spatial temporal framework. At P3, anything that is not a member of dimensionality is unlimited by dimensional predicates. And once again, that's just analytically true, not only because of the analytical truth from P2 by definition, but also because if a set of dimensional predicates cannot apply or limit to some type of existence, then that would also inherently mean that the dimensional limits also wouldn't apply, because those dimensional predicates are used to represent and depict the dimensional limits that are being applied to the set ontology. That's not a question, babe. I never assumed anything that I was trying to prove within the video, and I justified everything. The world lacks spatial temporal properties. Now, this can easily just be justified via the prior data we have within the narrative. In this scan, Goku is indirectly saying the world lacks temporality, and the deductive reasoning towards this is pretty clear. He's saying time exists in the living world, and that's why he gets exhausted. But in other world, this same problem isn't applicable.
Why are we nearly into 2026 and we still have people using the afterlife has no concept of space and time argument? I'm just going to go ahead and debunk this quickly. Number one, being timeless does not make you outerversal. You can still be spatial and be timeless at the same time.
Yo, bro, notice how I straight up accounted and gave substance for why it is the case that time and space are entailed to be interconnected. And he straight up skips that part of the video. Are we dead ass right now, Tom? Are you serious? Are we serious, Tom?
There's literally no contradictions to that. The progression of events in that case would just be narrative progression. So no, this would not get to outerversal. So the afterlife can still have space without having time, and I already proved earlier why time is not dimensional. Secondly, the afterlife does have space and time. Gravity is literally stated by King Kai to exist. And no, he's not saying that this gravity is similar to the gravity on planet Vegeta. He's saying that they are exactly the same. If you don't know what the law of identity is, the law of identity basically states that A equals A, or a proposition must always be in itself, or something must always be in itself. So let's just quickly go ahead and apply the whole law of identity to King Kai's planet, which exists in the afterlife. So King Kai is literally saying that the gravity on his planet is the exact same as the gravity on planet Vegeta, which is just 10 times Earth's gravity. So he is basically saying that there is no difference between these two properties and that they are always the same, right? This aligns perfectly with what the law of identity entails. Now, why would this prove that the afterlife has space and time? Well, it's pretty easy, because gravity in itself is contingent upon space and time. Therefore, if gravity exists within the afterlife, this would mean that the afterlife has space and time. And no, you can't just say, oh, it's some artificial form of gravity. No, it is stated by King Kai, the guy who created his own planet, to be the exact same as it is on planet Vegeta. So no, it isn't some artificial form of it. It's not similar to it. It's the exact same. Therefore, it would also be contingent upon space and time, just like the gravity is on planet Vegeta.
Already debunked this within the same video that he's debunking, but of course he ignores that. Fiction is a conceived idea by its author, and we can conceive nomological contradictions or contradictions to our models of different properties within reality, meaning that this is logically possible since it's conceivable. While in our model, gravity is contingent upon space-time, it doesn't have to be the case for a completely arbitrary verse. Like in some arbitrary verse that I can conceive, or some fictional verse, the universe doesn't get destroyed if all gravitational force is gone, or there can be a fictional universe with no gravity. Also, the Kais can create gravity and objects with shape and mass with their own internal conditions. So it can just be the case that this arbitrary property that they call gravity can be necessary in states of affairs to the narrative of Dragon Ball, inherently meaning that it doesn't have to be contingent upon space-time. And just remember, the purpose of gravity in Dragon Ball doesn't have to only be internal to our states of affairs or to be contingent upon space-time. It can simply just be a force that brings conventions or objects or any property down, whether it lacks spatial temporality or not. And gravity is a model which synthetically necessitates space-time in our states of affairs, which also has no intrinsic relations to a fictional setting which has already been established to lack the very necessary properties for gravity to exist. You can conceive states of affairs that are distinct from anything actual, which again proves how things in real life nearly every time doesn't necessitate what they usually do in any actual reality or states of affairs within a conceived idea.
Similar to it, it's the exact same. Therefore, it would also be contingent upon space and time, just like the gravity is on planet Vegeta. How the hell is your video 14 minutes long of just you straight up yapping, yet it took me only 7 minutes, hell, less than 7 minutes to debunk this shit? It didn't even take me half the time that it took to make.
Because you legit ignored the rest of the video and addressed everything before the point of me debunking that time isn't a dimension, which was one of your essential points. And legit, you ignored a good 8 minutes of the video.
Less than 7 minutes to debunk this shit. It didn't even take me half the time that it took to make your video, and I still managed to debunk it that quickly, bro. I speed blitzed you. If you disagree with my debunk, my Discord is right here. Add me up and we can debate on Dragon Ball scaling.
Even though I quit fiction because I know it's a low tier and I study other stuff, we can still debate it. I already have your Discord, so that shouldn't be an issue. And yeah, that's all there is for the video. Peace.